Hi, it's Robin. So this video is going to be my Oscar predictions. Today is Saturday and tomorrow is the Oscars, and I'm really late recording this, but I still want to get it out. Yeah, so we can get into it. Okay, so for best casting, my personal pick would probably be Hamnet, because Hamnet I think had really good children actors, which is very rare. And I mean, not just like, oh, they're tolerable, but like they were really good. I think the actor that played Hamnet was really good. I think in terms of casting family, like they even casted Hamnet's the actor's actual brother to play him, or to play like Hamlet in the play. Anyways, so that was really cool. I think casting wise, the fact that that little kid isn't getting best supporting actor, I feel like they should be getting best casting, because they got really good children actors that like legitimately made me cry. But I think Sinners is also a really good contender, of course. Very diverse cast, not just in terms of culture, but also in terms of I guess fame and where they're coming from. Like I think Miles Caton is pretty new. I mean, I haven't seen him before. They got really good singers, people that could sing well. I think in terms of casting, Sinners is most likely going to win. They've won a lot of past awards. So in terms of wants, I say Hamnet, but in terms of actually winning, I say Sinners. For Best Supporting Actor, I definitely think I'd choose Stellan Skarsgård. He's very compelling in sentimental value. I think the character itself is very complex, and I think Stellan was able to really show that character. I also think I really liked, of course, Sean Penn was great as Lockjaw. I think he was able to get the complexity of like being able to love a black woman but also hating black women, so that was really cool. He like stole every scene that he was in. I do think Stellan, I just like the subtlety of acting. I think in general Lockjaw is a more dramatic character, but I think Sean Penn is going to win because he won past awards like the BAFTAs or something. I don't remember. For Best Animated Feature Film, I didn't get a chance to like watch any of them, so but my guess is K-pop Demon Hunters. It still was a really big thing. It was everywhere for a very long time, so I think K-pop Demon Hunters is going to win. Zootopia 2 might have a chance. It's a Disney movie, and Disney sequels kind of do well sometimes at the Oscars, and it won the BAFTA, I believe, but I think it's going to be K-pop Demon Hunters. Best costume design is definitely an easy pick for me. I absolutely think Frankenstein had really cool costumes. I think Frankenstein's monster had a really cool concept of like basically looking like he's in tattered clothing, unloved. It was really cool. I liked all the drapery. I think the dresses that Mia Goth was wearing were really, really pretty. It was very similar in terms of extravagance as like Wicked 2 and Ariana's dresses, but it had a lot more refinement. It didn't feel costumey. It felt like a genuine dress that was made. So I absolutely think that Frankenstein is going to win costume design. And kind of in the same sense, I think that Frankenstein's absolutely going to win makeup and hairstyling. I think that the makeup that they did on Jacob was really cool. Like the sleek surgical look of Frankenstein's monster was really interesting. It wasn't just like, a bunch of stitches. It was very like, how would an actual doctor that is obsessed with his work, or actual scientist who's obsessed with his work in anatomy, create Frankenstein? He would be very particular and very a perfectionist about the sutures and stuff. Best film editing. This one was a hard one for me because I personally subjectively liked sentimental values editing. I mean, just the first like 5-minute sequence at the beginning showing the, sentimental value of a home and how they showed the memories and flashbacks and like the different parts of the house that showed wear but also showed character. That was a really cool editing, and I thought that would only be like at the beginning, but then it just kept going on. There's one part at sentimental value where like she's turning a page book, and the page book is exactly the same. Like the sound and the way she's turning it matches the next shot completely, and I just think the editing was super cool, super engaging. But I think that either OBA or F1 is going to win film editing. In terms of should win film editing, I kind of feel like F1, because they had like 8 cameras on the cars, and that's just like a crazy feat to be able to mash together like multiple cameras on multiple cars and actually have like a coherent thing. Like that's just a very daunting task, and they were able to do that. But I think Oprah's gonna win because Oprah has won a lot of the past award shows. And I think in terms of being like a 2 hour and 40 minute movie, the editing did make the movie feel a lot shorter, and it was still interesting. And that car chase scene, when I first saw it, I was like, oh yeah, it's definitely gonna win film editing. But then after learning about the background of F1, I was like, okay, maybe F1. I think Oprah's gonna win. I think F1 should win, and I think subjectively I like the editing and sentimental value most. For Best Supporting Actress, I chose Teyana Taylor. I think either her or Amy Madigan is gonna win. Amy Madigan, of course, winning past awards. Her character in Weapons was super engaging. But I think Teyana Taylor, the reason that I like flipped to her side is that she only had like 20 minutes of screen time. But her presence was felt throughout the entire movie, and I think that is really telling, that you can have low screen time but you can have such a low screen time, but your performance was so good that like the audience still is thinking about your character. So that's why I chose Teyana Taylor. But I think Amy Madigan was super good in Weapons. I forgot what her name was. Aunt Gladys was a super cool character. I think Amy Madigan, in terms of being very, like, just the range within that movie was very good. So like at parts she went to like super nice aunt, and then other parts she's just very like stone cold psychopath, and then she's scared at some points, and the range was amazing. I think I'd be fine with either of them winning. I personally would choose Teyana just because of the ratio of screen time, but I think Amy Madigan is also a very fair pick. I think she probably will win, but I think Teyana Taylor is like a close second. It's probably like a 60-40. So yeah, those two, not quite sure, but either of them. Best production design. So at first when I watched Hamnet, I was like, wow, I really like the production design because it feels like a play. That was interesting because it's about William Shakespeare. And so having like very static flat shots, and then having like a bunch of props in the home to make it feel like people are living there. And I know that Chloe Zhao said that she wanted it to feel like it was her home, so she took aspects of her home and put it in there. I thought it was really cool. So at first I was with Hamnet until I learned about Frankenstein's production design, and I realized a lot of it was practical. A lot of the stuff that I thought was visual effects was practical effects. And because even the tower that even the tower that Oscar Isaac is climbing on is literally real, and it does burn. It's just like the scenery in the back is visual effects, and I was like, that is really cool. So I absolutely think that Frankenstein is going to win production design. Best original screenplay, of course, easy one. I would say Sinners. Easy pick. I wish I could go into a whole deep dive, but just like the themes of Christianity and music and culture and the characters, and there's even like one of my friends were talking about the slight mentionings of like the 7 deadly sins in each of the characters and how they represent them. I think it was beautifully made. I think the writing was great. I think of course it fell a little flat once the vampires were introduced in the second part, but I think Act 1 and Act 2 were super great. So yeah, definitely Sinners. Best adapted screenplay. Best adapted screenplay, personally, not gonna lie, I kind of think Begonia was better than One Bad After Another. I like that Begonia, I love the dialogue in Begonia. I love that it's about extremism and echo chambers, and how you kind of as an audience member also don't know what you're supposed to believe in, and it's about like, because the movie's about subjective truth, you as an audience member are also, you know, expected to come up with your own truth, that you don't know if it's correct or wrong. So I really like that. But of course I think One Battle After Another is gonna win, and that's fair too. It's a really great movie. I love the characters, I love the pacing and the story and the jokes, but I just think I like that Begonia, it was simpler. I think Begonia was simpler, which made it more polished. in some places in terms of writing. I'm gonna abstain from Best Documentary Short Film because I did not get a chance to watch all of them. Best Sound, I would personally pick Oba. I think the sound mixing was really good. I think a lot of the protest scenes had really interesting sound design. I personally would pick Oba, especially because in the theater, that was the first thing I noticed was how good the sound was. But I think F1 is going to win because it's a sports movie. Sorry, one battle after another. Best visual effects, I would choose, this one was a hard one. Of course, I wanted to initially pick Avatar Fire and Ash because it's a James Cameron movie and his visual effects are crazy. But I think I like, again, subtlety, and Sinners there's parts where the visual effects aren't that good, but Sinners, I think in terms of the twin effect, was really awesome. Like, I forgot that was visual effects for a second and that Michael B. Jordan does not have a twin. The vampires burning, a lot of the night scenes were actually shot during the day and were made to seem like it was night. So all in terms of like not being able to tell that it's visual effects, I think that Sinners definitely takes the cake, if that's the saying, definitely takes the bread, definitely wins in that area for me. But I do think Avatar Fire and Ash has a very good chance, but I personally pick Sinners. And then also, like, the vampires are really cool. The vampires burning, the fire, the I lied to you scene, and like, yeah, all of it was super cool. But I actually did get a chance to watch the live action short films, which was really cool. I was able to watch them in theater actually, and maybe I'll do a whole video on that. But I think for live action short film, I'm gonna choose Two People Exchanging Saliva because of course it has a bit of a what's the word, advantage because it is the longest short film. It's like 35 minutes or like 39 minutes, like barely below a feature film. But I think it was really cool. I think stylistically, like, it was in black and white. I liked the story. It had like a bunch of world building just in one short film. I like the music, I like the shots, I like the editing. I definitely would recommend checking it out. And it's all in French too. I don't know if that like adds to it, why it was compelling, because it was like French narration. It's also it's a really creative idea. Essentially, it's about a world where kissing is illegal. So I think that was just really unique as well. So I definitely would choose Two People Exchanging Saliva. I think that's the best short film. I think The Singers was really cool in terms of feeling like a short film. It was, you know, it still had that world building. It still was able to, it was a self-contained story in one location, which I think is really cool because it's not like short films aren't just feature films that are condensed to 15 minutes. Short films are their own type of media and content. And so I think The Singers, in terms of being a short film, was really good. The cinematography was fantastic. So I think it has a big chance of winning. But I absolutely would choose Two People Exchanging Saliva over it. Best international feature film. I also will probably abstain, but I would say I would probably abstain because I've only seen Sentimental Value, which I think was great. I think Sentimental Value low-key probably, you know, deserves a Best Picture win. But I would say I haven't seen The Secret Agent, so I wouldn't know if The Secret Agent is better or if like Surat is better or something. So yeah, my pick is Sentimental Value, but that's just because that's the one I was able to see. Okay, now we're getting into the fun ones. We're getting into the big ones. Best original score. I think this one's easy. It's not that easy, but I think this one, in terms of the theme of the entire movie, I would absolutely say Sinners has the best score. Ludwig is probably one of the greatest composers, at least greatest popular composers. There's probably someone out there, but Ludwig is really good. I think Sinners was great. I think it was a very cohesive theme. It tied the movie together. There was like blues, there was heavy metal, there was a lot of different stuff. I think Begonia was still really good. I liked, I forgot his name, but I liked the Poor Things score as well. So it's sad that he didn't win. I think they're all really good. I think I like the uniqueness of One Battle After Another's score. And I think that'd be a very fair win. but I think Sinners was the most like Oscar-y classic score, so I think Sinners is gonna win in that area. Best actor. So everyone knows it's between Timothy Chalamet and Michael B. Jordan. And my initial gut feeling was Michael B. Jordan because he played twins. And that's a difficult feat to play two different characters, and they're not super like distinct. There's subtleties between the twins, but there's also like a connection to be able to play a connection with yourself and also have the subtlety of the differences between you and your twins' personalities, but also like, I don't know, that was really cool. And I think Michael B. Jordan should win. But I also think that Timothée Chalamet did a great job as Marty. I think Marty's character was super awesome. Like, I love watching Marty on screen. I don't know in terms of if I like the character more, if I like the acting more. It did feel supernatural. It did feel like that was like Tim was Marty Supreme. But I personally think that, I don't know, I think they both have a good chance at winning. If Michael B. Jordan won SAG and Timothée Chalamet won BAFTA, I can't remember. But I think they both have a really good chance at winning. I personally am going to pick Michael B. Jordan because playing a twin is pretty cool. I would think that a Timothée Chalamet win would also be fair. So best actress, this is when I'm going to get a little bit controversial. And I'm going to say, okay, here's the thing. Jessie Buckley was really good in Hamnet. But I think Renate, I just looked up how to pronounce her name. Renate, I think, was fantastic in sentimental value because, again, subtlety. I think Jessie, she had very, very strong emotions, but it did feel theatrical, which is the point because it is about a playwright. But I think the complexity of Renate's relationship, her character's relationship to her father, Stellan Skarsgård, is so complex. There's like resentment, but hatred, and also like, you know, you're very similar to him in a way. Like, that complexity, she was very good at showing that in the subtleties of her character. There's one scene where they're just sitting at a table and he's talking to her, and I'm like, I can see the beats. Like, I can see where she wrote in her script, like, okay, this is a beat, this is a choice, this is what my character's thinking. But I couldn't pick out what exactly in her facial expression was cluing me into that because it was so subtle. And that's why I think it was a wonderful performance. I think, you know, I think when people think about good acting, it's like those very strong emotions, like grief and anger. But in terms of just like, it is very hard to just play someone talking. Like, that's just acting normal. But then not just acting normal, but acting normal in a very specific way is very difficult. So I absolutely think that Renate should get it, but I understand Jessie because she was great in Hamnet. The scene we all know was fantastic. There's multiple scenes that we all know that she was fantastic in. So of course she's gonna win. She's won all the past awards like BAFTA and SAG and stuff like that. But I think Renate is a very good, she would be my pick. But I think Jessie Buckley is going to win. Best cinematography, another difficult pick because I think we're comparing apples to oranges here, right? So Sinners, absolutely beautiful. There are shots in there that I still think about. Of course, the scene with in the barn and the fire, the one take, that was absolutely beautiful. Which is why I would pick Sinners as my personal win for best cinematography. But I think Opa is like a completely different ballpark. I think the fact that it's very unique cinematography, not just in terms of VistaVision, because I know Begonia also used VistaVision, but like just how some shots are overexposed, some shots are unexposed. It's like messy, but also intentional. And I think that that's really interesting. And I think it fits well with the concept of like a revolution and, you know, something that's more grounded family dynamic maybe, or I guess family, which is more grounded, but then also messy in terms of like the revolutionary parts. I think Obo's cinematography worked perfectly for the movie. I thought it was really pretty. The car chasing was cool. There's scenes of Tiana Taylor that I'm just like, that's gorgeous. The scene at the church, the cinematography in the church was beautiful. But I personally think Sinners is just like a more classic interpretation of cinematography, which is why I think it's gonna win. And I think it's deserving. It's very, very beautiful. But I think Oba is also fantastic in a different way. So again, wouldn't be upset if one battle after another one, but I think Sinners is gonna win. I just personally liked Sinners a little bit more. There were scenes in Sinners where I was like, but I think it was more of a VFX thing where like the background didn't feel super real. And that's also kind of complicated because I'm like, how much of that is cinematography and how much of that is, or the really pretty scenes are like the VFX. So, and I don't know, but I personally still pick Sinners. Lastly, no, not lastly, actually, we have two more. Best director, my personal choice is Ryan Coogler because I just think it's really cool that he owns, or he will be owning his own movie, and I think that's a really cool concept when your entire film is about Black ownership, that you made a deal to own your movie. I think that's super awesome, and I think it's an original story that he made. It was very fantastical. I think there was a lot he was dealing with, like production design and clothing and VFX and having to direct an actor to play two different people. I think all that is super cool, on top of owning your own film in order to kind of push your message. I think that's really awesome, which is why I pick him as best director. But I think Paul Thomas Anderson also is a very great contender, and he probably will win. And I think he's deserving. He hasn't. I don't believe he's won an Oscar yet. So of course, like, super deserving, especially like being snubbed out of There Will Be Blood. Not snubbed. That's not the correct word, but I think he has a history of making very fantastic movies. So I think Paul Thomas Anderson is going to win. But I personally would pick Ryan. Best Picture. Okay, so this is another one where there's a lot of discourse around this, and I'm just going to start by saying that I don't think One Battle After Another or Sinners should win Best Picture. I don't think either of them were really the best picture. I don't think either of them are the best movies of the year. I think there were a lot of other great movies: Sentimental Value, Begonia. What else did I watch this year? Marty Supreme was really good. I think Marty Supreme, I think my personal choice would be Marty Supreme because it had the aspects of a lot of movies this year, but it did all of it well, and it was very well-rounded. It was very refined. It had the grittiness look of One Battle After Another, the absurdity that was in Begonia, that kind of selfishness that he had, but also that drive and ambition. I think in general, Marty Supreme was my favorite of the year. It was fun. It was absurd. It was still grounded though. It subverted expectations without, jumping the shark. I think that's why I really like Marty Supreme. I think Sinners is a very good contender. I think the themes are super important in Sinners. I think the scenes in One Battle After Another are super good as well. I just think that Sinners kind of did it a bit better. I don't know. I still have issues with One Battle After Another, and I'm not sure if I feel like the movie knows what it was trying to do, what it was trying to be. I think some of the revolutionary themes still fell flat. I think some of the groundedness in terms of, the family dynamic and the, people, like the community helping each other, were very undercut by the dramatic theatrical aspects of it, like a whole car chase scene and like jumping out of a car and stuff like that, and just Lockjaw as a character. I think it had grounded and ungrounded moments, and I feel like there were points where it lost itself, or the message got muddied because it was trying to do a lot. So I think in terms of who I think should win, I would say Marty Supreme, but it just hasn't gotten the marketing, or maybe the message isn't as important. I personally would choose Sinners over One Battle After Another. I think One Battle After Another is more refined in terms of technical skills, but I don't think it's refined in terms of theme and story as much. I think the characters are great, but I think the message and the theme gets a little confusing, and I kind of walked out like what are you trying to say? And I think Sinners did a better job of that, and also had a lot more different aspects in terms of like production design. It was an original. So, but I think neither of them are the best movies of the year, honestly, but they're the ones that everyone's talking about in terms of Best Picture. So yeah, Marty Supreme, then Sinners, then Oba. Begonia and Sentiment of Value are all the way up there somewhere. I don't know. But also forgot to say that I was unable to watch Best Documentary Feature Films, so I'm going to be abstaining from that category as well. That's it. Let me know what you think. If you agree or disagree, what are your predictions? What do you think should win? What do you want to win? Ooh, I forgot. Best Original Song also is a no-brainer to me personally, is I Lied to You. The entire point of the movie is about music and culture and how important music is to culture and Black community. And like, I absolutely think that I Lied to You, that entire sequence was it. It was a spiritual experience, which is what the entire movie was talking about. Golden, of course, has won a bunch of awards, but I would actually be really pissed if Golden won. That song is really annoying to me. It's played too much. I haven't seen the movie. I'm sure the movie's fantastic, but it by no means stands to the same level as I Lied to You. So I absolutely think I Lied to You should win, but I think Golden probably will win. Okay, well, I hope you are doing well. If you liked the video, like the video. I'm going to be trying to make a next video, probably be about Project Hail Mary, or maybe my opinions on the Oscar. We'll see. But if you want to see more, you can subscribe as well. And yeah, take care. Bye. I forgot to show that I was literally wearing my Sinners shirt too during the video, because it'd be really awesome for it to win. I don't think it's gonna win, but it'd be really cool. Just because of how much it means to me as a person. I think it's my personal favorite. I think Marty Supreme was I already said it. Okay, bye.